Marin Fire History proudly presents Families in Fire. The story of the generations of fire service personnel in Marin County.
Hello, everyone. This is Fire Chief Paul Smith, retired, and I'd like to introduce Marin Fire History this morning and our pilot called Families in Fire. Our guests today are Ken, Anthony, and Nick Massucco. And we're going to visit with them for a few minutes and talk about Families in Fire and how they got involved in the fire service. Good morning, everyone. How is everybody doing?
We're doing great.
Good. Good. Well, we have with us Ken, and I'd like to ask, Ken, when did you get interested in the fire service?
Well, I was a senior at Redwood High School, and a friend of mine, one of my best friends, Mike Hyman, who worked at Minnow & Sons Shell Station in Kentfield. A lot of the Kentfield firefighters used to go there to get their fuel, and they convinced him to become a volunteer at the Kentfield Fire District. And once he was in for a month or so, he talked to me about joining and said, hey, great group of people, super good, great mentors. He thought I would really like becoming a member of the Kentfield Fire District. Mm-hmm. So I went down on a Tuesday night drill night, met everybody, and signed up. And that was kind of the start of my fire service career. Mm-hmm. And, looking back, just tremendous mentors, Bob Mariani, Bob Betancourt. John Lando was my initial instructor for training, and John was an engineer back at that time and later became fire chief for the Kentfield Fire District. And some good volunteers. Bob Lewis taught me how to drive a fire truck. I kind of laugh today, and we talk about the responsibility that we were allowed back then as kids, basically 18-year-old kids, to come into the firehouse once we developed our training and learned how to drive and were signed off, that we could come in at any time, ask the chief to take an engine out for a ride. And we did that. And so for me, it was fascinating to see the trust they put in us and the responsibility that they gave us. And, I quickly fell in love with the job. It became a passion of mine. And I never look back and thankful every day that I was able to spend my career as a firefighter. And my buddy Mike Hyman always says that I owe him 25% of my retirement, but we joke about it. But I mean, it was his love too. He became a contractor, but I think to this day still misses the fire service.
Sure. And I agree with you, Ken. I always thought it was the best job in the world. I fell in love with it like you did. And have had a passion for it and still do. And here I am retired and I still have my hand in with things like this. I enjoy the heck out of, talking with people like you, and, we'll talk with your sons in a bit about how they got involved in this, in the career too. So,
well, and back then, and even in my transition into Marin County Fire Department at 19 years old, what always impressed me was, what I call one of the greatest leadership qualities is every person that I worked for always wanted you to succeed. And that's really defines leadership is wanting your people to do good and succeed. And I had that through my whole career, which would have been fantastic. Yeah.
So Nick, why don't I ask you, what kind of influence did your dad have on your fire service career? I like to start with you because when we did a history of the Marin County Fire Department, a year and a half or so ago now, your dad mentions that when you were a youngster, he was home, babysitting you when you were a young kid, and almost missed the vision fire. So I'd like to ask you, did that have your dad have any influence on you on selecting a fire service career, or how'd that go?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my dad was a huge influence on my decision to become a firefighter. And like you said, I kind of felt a part of the fire family, growing up as a kid. Luckily for us, we grew up right up the street from the Woodacre Fire Station. So I was down there all the time as a kid. And, I got to see my dad go to work every day and just see how much he loved his job and loved the camaraderie of the fire service. And so that was an easy transition for me to start getting involved.
So you knew out of high school that this was for you.
Yeah, definitely. And I started as an explorer when I was 15 with the Marin County Fire Department. And that really set me up for success as I started as a seasonal firefighter.
Sure. Now, Anthony, did you have a similar career path? I know you're now with CalFire. Why don't we talk a little bit about how you got started?
Yeah, it's funny. I just looking back on it, I never really thought about the fire service. Yes, I watched my father go to work and I experienced, the enjoyment that he got from it. And you could definitely tell that it was this true brotherhood that everybody wanted to be a part of. But when you thought about a career path for yourself, you don't really think about putting yourself in your father's shoes until somebody puts that idea in your head. And so looking back on it now, it's like, yeah, we were born into the fire service and instantly part of that family already, like Nick said.
Sure.
But it wasn't until, somebody said, hey, what are you doing? do you want to join the Fire Explorers? And I said, hey, what's that? And so I started out with the Fire Explorers with Marin County Fire Department as well. And I think I was in the initial first year of that program, and it was a great opportunity to just get some initial experience. And really, it wasn't until we did hose lays that I was like, yep, this is the career for me. So yeah, was awesome just watching Dad get ready for the day. I remember him preparing for several Vision Fire presentations, and got to see the slideshow, clicking through all the individual slides. And I'll never forget, clicking through and him preparing notes, and just the and also being at the firehouse hanging out and just seeing the respect that my father got on a daily basis was pretty incredible. So definitely influenced my decision. But what I appreciate the most is he never really, he let the decision fall on myself, which I always appreciate.
Sure.
And was proud of whatever, path I decided to choose. And I appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely. And so both of you folks started out with the Fire Explorers at Marin County Fire then. And who was the person in charge of the Explorers at that time?
For me, it was Ben Gisletta.
Okay.
And actually Jason Weber.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And I think those folks had some good influence on you both, and they're both top drawer firefighters. They really are.
Yeah.
So,
pretty awesome.
Between the Explorer program and your dad's influence, it's something to be proud of. Marin County has a number of families in the fire service, and we sure are proud of you guys. So, Nick, where do you currently work today? Where are you currently stationed, and what do you enjoy most about your job?
Currently, I'm stationed out at Hicks Valley as an engineer. I enjoy, everything about my job. I love, one of my favorite things is during the summertime, getting the new crop of seasonal firefighters, getting everybody trained up, and just getting everybody ready for those out of county assignments. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I also love, cooking at the firehouse, mealtime, afternoon cup of coffee with the guys, and just enjoy all that camaraderie as well.
Absolutely. And how about you, Anthony? What are you doing these days?
Well, I was in the Mendocino unit for the last 19 years, fire seasons and years, but just had an opportunity to move a little bit closer to Marin County, and took an opportunity to work for CalFire North Region out of the Santa Rosa office for the land use planning program. I've always been the type of firefighter that's open to unique opportunities. Sure. And every 2 to 3 years, I'm doing something different. So here's the next opportunity to kind of build the resume, build the experience, build relationships, and this job interacts with a lot of counties and cities, and a lot of pre-fire fire risk management. So looking forward to learning this job still, but it was kind of a unique opportunity, and I took it. So
good deal. Take advantage of it. And I think that's something that, probably rubbed off from your dad. I mean, Ken, you took the opportunity when things arose to better your career and learn a lot. And, what interest was your main interest at Woodacre, Ken?
Well, as I look back on my career, there's nothing better that I love doing than going out and doing a hose lay on a wildland fire. That to me, that was the thing I love to do. But I also love the business end of the fire service, and the opportunities that Chief Rowan gave me in my career to expand those opportunities. I just was interested in that side of the business also, and through our Firefighters Association, got involved in some politics with the Board of Supervisors, and I never saw myself as becoming a fire chief because I loved the operations end of the fire service. But like Anthony, there was an opportunity that I was room for me to grow and learn that part of it. Mm-hmm. And looking back, I loved every minute of being a fire chief also. But nothing better to me than being a fire captain at the Woodacre station and doing a hose lay with my crew. That was, to me, the best. And I can remember most of the hose lays I ever did. So it's just a super, super passionate piece of my career of being able to work with the troops and like Nick said, take a new crop of young firefighters that really didn't know anything about the fire service, and by the end of fire season, I would actually call them firefighters because they did a great job. Which is very rewarding.
Now, I agree. I totally agree with that. It's working with the people and watching folks grow. And I am today interviewing Nick and Anthony, who I met as young men, and here we are today, professional firefighters. It's really nice. I got to ask your sons though, Anthony. When your dad started out this morning, he talked about his starting out as a volunteer firefighter, and just going down to the station as a volunteer and being checked out in one of the engines, and just go out for the day and learn how to drive the engine, and do hose lays and throw ladders and all the things that went along with that. As a 19-year-old, do you see that being a little more structured today?
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot more hoops to jump through, and you can't just go down to the firehouse and jump on a rig anymore. But there is still those opportunities out there for young kids to get involved, and it's just finding those. I had a neighbor recently reach out and wanted to get involved in the fire service, and I literally just went to town, giving him all the information that I knew, and I wish I had that initial, somebody to be like, here's the steps, 1, 2, 3, but yeah, there are certainly more jumps to.
Right. And I think with you saying that brought something to mind. I think the structure that we have today, you say jumping through the hoops, provides a little more detail, balance, and guidance for, folks today that want to get in the fire service. They know the path or the paths, the opportunities that are open to them.
Yeah, exactly. The Fire Explorer program, not every department or agency or county or city has that.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that folks can seek out those types of programs as well.
Right. So wrapping up today, folks, Nicholas, would you like to chat to chat a little bit about wrapping up what your thoughts are today?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, thanks for having us on. It's a pretty cool opportunity to get on here and chat about some of this stuff. And, I definitely feel very fortunate that I had my dad's career path and also my brother's career path to follow in both of their footsteps. They've kind of paved the way for me to get involved in the fire service. And I feel very fortunate about that.
And Anthony?
Yeah, those are some really big shoes to fill. And we work our careers to try to fill them, but we do each have our own paths, and I do appreciate that. And we'll always have my dad's experience and his mentorship to fall back on and glean on throughout the years. So definitely appreciate the opportunity to share our little piece with all of you.
And Ken, I got to say, you got to be proud of these guys.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like they said, I never pressured them to get into the fire service, and but they did hang out at the firehouse a lot as kids. And I can remember them going down and seeing Dino in the shop for a lollipop and talking to the firefighters. But for me, what I wanted to say is that it's sad for me to see some of the volunteer departments fade off into the sunset, but it's also encouraging for me to see the Explorer program take its place. And I think it's just a great place for young kids to learn about a profession that I think is a fantastic profession, and we need good young firefighters. And the Explorer programs today in certain departments certainly is a way for them to get into that entry level.
I couldn't agree more. Okay, today I'd like to thank the Massucco family for participating with our pilot in Families in Fire. And this is retired Fire Chief Paul Smith from Marin Fire History. Thanking everyone, and hope everyone has a good day.